went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
Welcome everybody into Sim Racing Media tonight. We are dueling at Daytona. We're set for a couple duels to set the field for the Daytona 500 or Daytona 300 here in the Moonshiners Cup Series. I'm Mike Taboni up in the booth. Joined with me is Daniel. Daniel, how's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you, Mike?
Oh, not too bad. So these guys are running through their qualifying run. They were here last week and had the clash. Now they're seeing what they can bring to the table here in the qualifying run. So we're working our way through the first set of qualifiers here. It looks like we've got about 35 that have already put down a qualifying lap. Kenny Coppola with a 49.29 is sitting P3 right now, so they're going to qualify. Then they're going to break them up into duels, and then after that they'll race each duel, and the duels are going to be duel 1 will set the inside row for Daytona, and duel 2 will set the outside row. So that is where that's going to be. And they're doing 35 laps each, one green, white checker. So that's the way it's going to kind of shake out here. Matt Mackin out on track. Oh, it looks like he just finished. We'll go to Aaron Matthews.
Looks like he just wrapped up his qualifying run too for the duels here at Daytona. And Mike, last week we saw a lot of these drivers do very, very well. Is that going to be the same way here tonight in the duels? Because, you know, if they wreck, is that going to potentially hurt you in the Daytona 300 next week for the big race starting?
Yeah, I don't think the drivers are going to be really super aggressive here when they're doing these duels. Yes, it's for qualifying spot, but it is Daytona. I mean, you're going to draft, there's going to be comers, there's going to be goers. You're going to try and figure out where you want to be at as they work their way through here. I mean, there's going to be several different strategies that's going on. We got Barry Sanders put down his first lap with the 49.97. Jeff Taylor putting down his lap. Looks like Barry Sanders with 49.33, 16th quick so far on the grid.
You're going to see these drivers hug that double yellow line here to make the track as short as possible, and they want to go as fast as possible too, because you know you're trying to get a really good starting position in this duel. Now, drivers that I've seen, they've actually clipped that apron in the turns, and that has actually hurt them because it sends them up the track, and they're losing a bunch of time here. But these drivers do very, very well hugging that double yellow line. I mean, look how close that 23 is right now.
Yeah, they're trying to get as much as they can out of the track. You'll see them take that first lap high and wide, try and get as much speed built up before they try and park the car right along that yellow line. Take the shortest way around the track, trying to get it back to where it goes the quickest here. Jump over here to Brandon Bikey, as he was pretty quick in the clash. See where he winds up, and looks like he will go pole position with the 49.23. So quick at the clash and quick here tonight. Jeff Taylor came through with a 49.27. So these guys are definitely throwing down some pretty quick times here. I mean, from the pole position of 49.23 clear back into 42nd of these drivers, we got a 49.62, so a little under 0.4 of a second separate first from last, and that will be everybody on the grid. These guys are gonna get this situated here and get set for the heat races.
In these heat races, Mike, we're going to see drivers probably working with their teammates if they are in the same duel together. And I mean, do we see drivers potentially staying in the back a little bit, or do you want to be up towards the front? Because basically anywhere you're not safe here on super speedways.
Yeah, I think you're just going to try and find a comfortable spot, log some laps, get towards the end of the race, and then if you're, closer to the front, try and make your move to win the duel. I mean, it always seems to be good to kind of get out there, out front for a little while anyway here. So we'll see what happens when we get these.
Duel 1 and Duel 2, I expect to see some of these drivers act a little different here, because Duel 1 at least
but it's not. Let's see if it's going to work now. They're going to get rolling here. Guys are getting rolled here. Get the grid brought up. So we got Brandon Bikey with a 49.231 starting on the pole here in heat race number 1. Paul Gallimore outside row 1. Jeff Chandler and Jordan Schmeetz, Alex Coffey, Darren Mills in row 3. Row 4, Kevin LeBron and Blaine Woodruff. We got Blaine Wilson and Nigel Christensen in row 5. Row 6 is Warren Young with Matt Mackin. And we got Aaron Matthews, Hunter Carmichael make up row 7. Row 8, Nick King and John Bender. Jared Clark and Stephen Gibson make up row 9. Row 10, Derek Pemberton and Chris James. Matt Metler and Caden Nofree make up the rest of the field here of the 22 drivers that are going to take part in duel number 1. So that is going to set the inside row for the Daytona 300.
Cars rolling off on track right now. This is going to be an exciting race here, and super speedways do provide exciting racing. You see these drivers use different lines here no matter what part of the track they are at, and these drivers, I expect to see some drivers possibly played a little bit safe here in the first going, but you know this always happens here at Daytona where it comes to 3 laps, 2 laps to go. You're going to start seeing these drivers make a different moves here to try to get themselves up to the front and potentially either win this race or wreck out of this race.
Yeah, you're going to want to stay kind of stay out of harm's way, work your way through the field, try and get a good spot for the Daytona race. They are racing for points tonight. So the top 10 in each duel are going to get points. It's going to go from 10 down to 1. There's no fast repairs. Caution laps do count in these duels. So pay attention to that as we have these 22 drivers set to get going.
One driver I want to point out here, Mike, is that one Carson on the inside line, first row, and that would be Brandon Berkey. And you know, he was very fast last week. I expect him to be fast this week and the week after. So I think he's going to be a driver that we're going to watch throughout the season, be very, very strong here.
Yeah, there's another driver that I'm kind of looking forward to as we get rolling. Bikey with the button, headed to the Geico restart zone. He is down and away, and we are green here in duel number 1 for the Moonshiners Cup Series. Bikey jumps to that outside row, gonna get in front of Paul Gallimore. They worked pretty well together last week. We'll see if they're gonna maintain that as well this week.
Look throughout this pack here as they come off of turn number 2. You're going to see drivers, if they are double wide here, you see right there, drivers moving to the inside lane that were currently on the outside. You're going to see drivers that were on the inside going to the outside, and that's just trying to get a run to get up towards the front. You see right here mid-pack, still side by side, still everybody trying to foul in here, but that organization is on that outside right now. But here comes the inside.
Yeah, we saw him bouncing around towards the back, which caused a little bit of a gap, and that left Matt Metler kind of in a lurch as he is slowly starting to lose that draft. When you lose that draft, that is definitely not what you want. We saw Blaine Woodruff last week lead a lot of the Clash, or one of the heat races to the Clash, and just got bounced around and wound up going towards the back in the Clash race itself as he is fading back. Kind of a strategy play. Let these guys kind of race it out. We're just through lap 1 here. It's not...
You just want to play it safe here in the early going. You say, oh, there it goes. The big one. The 31's involved there. Coming into the tri-oval. I see the 71 also involved.
Everybody's spinning around here.
Gonna have to take a look at this replay, see what happened here and what caused this first caution to come out in duel number 1.
So we were talking about see what happened here. Breaks off maybe in front of him there. Oh yeah, just a little bit in front. Let's go back, take a look here at the 31 machine of Jeff Chandler. (31.15). 31 just gets a little bit of gives a little bit of bad bump there to the 01 of Matt Mackin, and then winds up sending him into the wall. That's going to be a rough go there. We can
see the drivers involved in that first wreck are going to come down pit road, but everybody else is going to stay out here on the track. First caution of the night here in duel number 1 in the Moonshiners Cup Series. And that's the thing, Mike, you don't want to give the wrong push, and you have to be very, very careful when you're coming out of the turn or going into the tri-oval, because if you push on the person in front of you on that corner panel just slightly wrong, it can send them around. That's exactly what happened with those cars that got involved in that incident.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen if you get those little bit of bad bumps there. Let's bit. There we go. We'll see if this tower plays a little bit nicer here with these heat races. So up front we have Brandon Bikey, Paul Gallimore, Jordan Schmeets, all up front trying to avoid calamity back towards the back. It looks like we got some drivers getting some cheers in the YouTube chat. Looks like Blaine Wilson and Nigel Christensen. And we got Coffee as well. Alex Coffee. He ran pretty well last week. Was able to, I believe he won his heat last week and was able to take that into account here this week, as he's up one spot right now running P8, but we've got Carmichael and Bender here, and LeBron up here as well. So they're getting stacked back up. Lights are out on the pace car. Working through lap number 5 here of 35 in duel number 1. I think we got William Harris cheering for Bender. Make their way down the backstretch. After that, looks like we've got, well, looks like they were able to get back out on track. Did Gibson and Chandler and Mackin. We're going to start at the tail end of the field here, but They're still back out on track. It is Daytona. Got plenty of laps to get back through here. Like I said, the first 10 spots are for points. It also sets the inside row for the Daytona 300. Paced car is in. Bikey with the button as I headed down the front stretch to that Geico restart zone. And he is down on that loud pedal. Has the number 4 behind him, pushing him towards the front as they single file out here. 1, 4, and 11. The 2 slides up in Darren Mills as well. They are set as they set sail into turn 1. That inside lane with Nigel Christensen is starting to work up. Get even with about 4th place there.
Everybody running very, very smooth on that restart there. The outside line very well organized compared to the inside. But keep a close eye. Is anybody going to go to that inside, or are they just going to stay on the outside? There is another question that we're asking. Is the one going to block that inside line from getting that run and to control that lead?
Yeah, it looks like if I'm up front, I'm just going to kind of stay up front, try and stay there as long as I can. Let this line kind of roll through here a little bit, try and get some laps covered. As a 4 is all over that back bumper, trying to push Bikey towards the front as much as he could. See who's, like, these guys towards the back are still hanging on. Looks like Jeff Chandler is able to hook onto the draft here and stay in 18th position as these guys are kind of bouncing around about halfway through the field.
Working their way around Daytona International Speedway here. Drivers wiggling around all over the place, probably a little loose right now. You see the 15 going to that inside line.
Now 15 pulled down, trying to lead that inside line to get towards the front. Hunter Carmichael there, Nick King in the outside. Has a little gap to the 82. Want to kind of tighten that gap up as they're working through lap number 8 here. But it looks like they're starting to do that little snake action in that outside lane. Is going to kind of slow him up, going to allow Hunter Carmichael to try and get that inside line moving towards the front. But just as I say that, looks like the inside line starts doing a little bit of that snake action as well as they're coming down the backstretch. So they'll get set as they head around towards the backstretch here.
Inside line almost catching up to the outside, but the outside getting a very good push there from who is on the second on the outside. Is that the 4?
The 4 of Jordan Schmeets in the outside.
Well, the 4's giving a really, really good push here to the 1 to keep him out front, but that 3 is tracking them down like nothing tomorrow.
Yeah, when the inside line gets hooked up there pretty quick as the 15 gives a little shot to the 3, trying to get him a little more momentum towards the front row here. Come down the backstretch.
It's just that they need to get very well organized in order to get those pushes, in order to get that run to compete for the lead here. It's just a matter of when they can do it without turning somebody around.
Yeah, Alex Coffey's all over the rear bumper of the 3 machine of Hunter Carmichael and just has to be careful about when he gives that bump. We've seen it already once tonight, and I'm sure we're going to see it before the night gets over as we have 25 laps to go here. It looks like Matt Metler is moving up a little bit down on the bottom side of that 89 Ford there. Blaine Woodruff battling back after kind of fading towards the back of the field. Like he's kind of stuck in the middle now. See where he's going to decide to go as he's losing a little bit of the draft on the 18 of Blaine Wilson.
Well, if you think about it, these drivers, it's when you're in the driver's seat, Mike, it's very, very hard to see what's going on from you. You can see the car in front of you, but you can't see anything beyond that. And that is why these drivers rely on their spotter that's talking to them, so they know who's around them and if they can make a move without, wrecking the field. But right now, this outside line is just very, very well organized. No aggressive pushing, just calmly making their way forward. But that inside line, you just see those cars, they're just wiggling all over the place. As you see right there, we're going 3 wide into turn number 3.
Yeah, 3 wide in the middle as Nick King kind of got stuck there and got filed back a little ways. These guys trying to find the fastest way around Daytona here. As it looks like Bikey almost got turned there as he got a little bit of a bad push. So that outside line kind of stacks up, lets the inside line go. Hunter Carmichael, Alex Coffey to the front.
See right there on the inside, a lot of these drivers now doing that snake line formation, but here comes the 1. So if this 1 gets a run, the 15 or 3 is going to have to block that.
15 pulls up to the high side. Oh, looks like the 17 was trying to go with him. The 17 was trying to go with Alex Coffey. Luckily, he looked out of his right window and saw the one of Bikey there, pulled back down.
There we go.
And now he gets in front of Alex Coffey, does the 17 of Nigel Christensen. So you got Carmichael, Christensen, and Coffey in that outside row. Inside, you got, looks like Binder's leading them here. Or Bender. I'll get it right. Sorry, John.
Well, these drivers, they're doing an amazing job right now. But, those moves that we just saw a lap and a half ago, that was a risky move there, Mike. That could have caused a big one.
Yeah, like I said, luckily that he looked out of his right side window there and thought better of trying to clear the 1. As now the 17 goes down to the inside. Coffey goes with him, and they are around Carmichael. Bikey trying to figure out which way he wants to go as he had a huge run on the 3. Elects to dive in behind Carmichael and stay up top. Nigel Christensen gets a run, goes to the high side, stays in front of Carmichael, but that left teammate Alex Coffey out to dry here.
Hang out left to dry. Look at this. The 17's been making moves left and right, and now here he is up in the front competing to get this dual win. And that outside line, everybody's going to, but that inside line's going to struggle. They need more cars down there to help.
And that inside line was there for quite a while, but now the outside line seems to be the way to go. Christensen and Carmichael and Bikey are all leading it pretty well here. It looks like Alex Coffey is going to try and get that inside line to go as he kind of got, I guess, left down on the inside as Nigel Christensen went to the high side, but now he's leading it back. He's got Bender behind him, pushing him towards the front. And if they stay lined up the way they are, looks like they're all holding a pretty steady wheel on that bottom side, so they're going to get a pretty big push coming into the corner here as they're coming towards the front stretch, and they might be even with the leaders as they exit turn number 4.
Going to be even here coming off of turn number 4, but here comes that inside line once again. Look at these pushes getting to that machine up front, and now they're going to be side by side, the 15 and the 17 here, battling side by side as they enter turn number 2. Everybody very well organized. It's just, can we keep it that way now? See 17 move up to the top lane now.
Yeah, as you see that, and then everybody starts bouncing around. Matt Metler in the middle, 3 wide, the 11 of Paul Gallimore on the high side. Metler gets down, and that is going to leave the 4 of Jordan Schmitz in the sucker hole as he goes back towards the back.
That's what's gonna happen here. You don't want to get pushed out of line, because if so, you're gonna fall all the way to the back and have to restart and try getting ready to go back up to the front. But also, if you lose that draft, that's gonna hurt you tremendously, because this pack is gonna go way a lot faster with everybody in the pack besides you just running single.
Yeah, and here they come back down on the inside as the 33 of John Bender is making his move towards the front. He's got the 28 of Kendall LeBron pushing him. The 69 of Jared Clark closing in as well. Matt Metler from the back to the front. He's getting his way up here. Started last in this race, and now he is up on the inside of row 3 as they're bouncing off the wall behind him. Blaine Woodruff taking some evasive action as he's able to keep it rolling here as they come down through turn number 1.
28 machine leading this pack here right now in duel number 1, and that is Kendall LeBron right now currently leading. He's gonna get a push to the quarter panel, not going smoothly. He almost went sideways, and you see drivers scrambling to the inside.
Yeah, one bad push and everybody scatters trying to figure out where they wanted to go. It's amazing how it changes all in a lap. We were just talking, or I was just talking about Matt Metler towards the front. Now he is sitting 6th on the inside row as everybody takes evasive action trying to move around. The 69 in the middle, Jared Clark, as he's going backwards as he got stuck in the sucker hole there. See if he can slide down in front of Metler, and he will do just that. Gallimore trying to work his way up towards the front in that 11 machine right behind Bikey. You got Kendall LeBron on the inside row, and Nigel Christensen and Alex Coffey on the top side making it work here.
Drivers getting a little loose here coming off of turn number 4 at 17, getting a huge push in the back bumper there, and that Toyota Camry, as you see right there, the 15, he is your man. He's the one that's going to push you to the race win if it was the white flag right now. And if you're on that inside line, that would have been the one's job as well. And inside line, I'm surprised they haven't gone up to the outside yet to block that run.
Yeah, there was one time when everybody was almost able to get single file, and that would have been the move to make if you were in that outside lane, if that whole row would have came down in front of the drivers on the outside, and that would have set them back quite a little ways. But now we got Nigel Christensen, who was leading that outside line. All of a sudden, he has lost momentum, and he has fallen back a little bit. They are 3 wide now, and it looks like the 18.
To the 18.
The 18 of Blaine Wilson. You can see everybody bouncing around here. Got the 10, the 17. So the 17 of Nigel Christensen was leading for a little while. Got a little bit of a bad push, got stuck in the middle. Went back. Oh, Blaine Woodruff there. Gets into the left rear, sends him down in front of the 82 of Derek Pemberton. And that's going to collect those 2 drivers. And we see Pemberton sliding up the 5, almost able to avoid it. Looks like the 12 gets by, the 2 gets by. Yeah, 12 gets a little check there. The 5, a little bit of a rub. So 13 laps to go. We'll probably go back to green flag racing with, let's say, 10 to go, 9 to go.
Yeah, 10 laps to go here when we go back to the restart. It went very, very fast, Mike, and 2 cautions so far in this first one. Are we going to expect a green flag run in the second duel, or are we going to expect more cautions in the second duel?
Oh, these guys are driving driving pretty aggressively, but they also are kind of bouncing around a little bit, trying to get inside outside. And I think that's just the product of good racing. You have guys that are a little bit quicker, so they try and go into the middle, maybe try and force it a little 3 wide before the rest of the field is ready to do so. But it looks like we're going to have a couple drivers come down pit lane. It's like Bikey's coming down, Chandler Matthews, Darren Mills, Chris James, Blaine Wilson, and then drivers that were involved in the incident there to bring out this caution. But it's one of those things, if you have a little bit of damage, do you go ahead and pit, get it fixed? Don't spend a ton of time on pit lane, but just enough to get it fixed, so you might have a little bit faster car than some of these other drivers that are out here in front of you. I mean, you're basically losing anywhere between a couple rows is all you wind up starting further back. So I mean, is it really going to hurt anything too much if you have to do that? I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out in a matter of no time here. Getting ready and getting close to end off the first duel here from Daytona. A lot of action going on here. And, you know, when we go to these super speedways, Mike, you always think of drafting. You always think of your partner that you're going to want to push. Who's a good pusher? Who do you want to race around? Because, you know, there's some drivers that are not used to these drafting style tracks and could be a very, very big risk and making yourself crash yourself out. So, I mean, Daytona and Talladega, these are the most exciting tracks for me personally, just because you get to see all these moves getting made. But I know for sure next week when we have the big race, it's going to be very, very exciting, but a lot more cars in that race than what we saw in the Clash and tonight in the duels.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing that you're going to want to pay attention to. I mean, right now, these are all just, you know, kind of the preseason races. I mean, these ones here count for points, so everybody's going to try and get what they can get as far as if they're inside the top 10. If they're not going to make the top 10 in here, they're just going to try and make the field for the Daytona 300. So, with that, I mean, you're probably going to see some guys take a few more chances if they're going to try and get some points, because, you know, it's only a field of 20 versus the next time we see these guys on the track and it's a full field of 40. I mean, you're not going to want to be you're going to want to take advantage of any points you can get. I mean, 40 cars at Daytona, you never know where you're going to wind up.
Yeah, these drivers, it's going to be a very, very challenging week next week. You know, when we're going to have a field of 40 cars, you're not going to want to be in the middle of the pack at all, because if something happens, you're going to be in the middle of it. So if it was me next week, Mike, I would probably wingle back a little bit and just stay behind just for the first half of the race.
Yeah, I mean, next week you'll be. I mean, if you find yourself somewhere close, you're going to try and race for those stage points. But other than that, you're going to kind of try and stay out of trouble. Be there for the finish. I mean, it is Daytona. There is, you know, going to be some big ones, and you want to avoid them and take advantage of anybody that does not. So we've got some of these drivers that this is going to be their chance to show what they have as the pace car makes that left-hand turn down pit lane. We've got Kendall LeBron with the button, Paul Gallimore on the high side, and they are down and away they go. LeBron goes to the high side with Gallimore. Bender trying to make his way through here as well. Nick King giving a little shot there to the 11 ride on the high side.
These drivers know it's not a lot of time left here. They're going to be making moves left and right. And you see right there, multiple drivers. That's the 3 and the 15 going to that inside line. And they look at the run they're getting right there on the outside.
Now Hunter Carmichael jumped down in front of Alex Coffey, and they are working their way towards the front on this bottom side. Side by side, they go through the start-finish line. If this is what it's like on with 9 laps to go, imagine what it's going to be with 1 to go as they work their way towards the conclusion here of duel number 1.
I can only imagine what it's going to be
into the
like
wall
here.
And around they
Oh,
go.
there's a car around. 3 cars involved there. Is that going to bring the caution out?
Caution comes out. We got Warren Young sideways on the track. Looked like he was trying to go to the outside row and just wound up in the wall here. Let's see what happened to the 10 machine here. Well, Bikey goes 3 wide. Nick King goes down to the inside a little bit, gets a little brake check there. The 10 goes off of the 4 into the outside wall. Bikey almost 4 wide there, hits the 5. So Bikey hits the 5, turns the 5 in. The 10 hits the wall and turns down. So they are double stacked here as they come down the backstretch. I mean, that is one of those things when you're racing that close. Let's see here real quick. We'll take a look here from the onboard of the 10 machine here of Warren Young. So this is all you see if you're the driver of one of these cars. Get a little check up there, and then you're in the wall, and then you're sideways.
That's how fast things can roll here at Daytona, and I am very pumped up to see this exciting finish. Now, you do get 1 overtime attempt. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike.
Yep.
But 1 overtime attempt.
Yep, just 1 green-white checker. So they're going to be probably getting the green with, I'm going to say 5 to go, 4 to go. So it's going to be pretty close to a green-white checker anyway here. Only a handful of laps left. Some of these guys are still on pit lane. Looks like Caden Nofree decided not to run tonight. Then you have Matt Mackin back there in 21st as he has had his had all the fun he could stand and can't stand no more as he puts his car on the hauler. That 01 machine is going to start towards the tail end of the field when we're back on track for the 500 here. So we've got Hunter Carmichael and Alex Coffey. We got John Bender and Jared Clark. Kendall LeBron and Matt Metler will make up the first 3 rows as these guys get stacked up. We'll get ready to turn them loose one more time. So who's going to be the driver that's going to take that chance to try and just get a win here in this first duel? As they get going here, how about a little trivia? I mean, for a driver who has won multiple times, the driver with the most wins here at in the duels is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Or Dale Earnhardt. He won in 83, 86, 90 through 99, all before he won the 500. I mean, if you win the duels, doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna win the 500, or in this case the 300. Kelly Yarborough is the closest one to him with 6.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. only has 5.
Wow. Pace lights are off. Field in the hands of the 3 car. On the outside of him is going to be the 15 leading that outside line. We're here in the final laps, Mike. What's the expectations once this green flag drops?
Well, we've already saw a lot of, I won't necessarily call it beating and banging, but these guys are trying to work their way through the front. You keep having drivers, when they go to make a jump from the inside to outside, almost overshoot it more when they're going to that outside lane, which causes them to slide up and bounce off that wall just a little bit. And when they do that, it kind of sets off a chain reaction. So I'm going to say that the driver that I'm most interested in watching is going to be that 71 back there, kind of mid-pack, well, 8th right now. See what he does in that 71 Ford, Blaine Woodruff, as he's been kind of hanging around all night, hasn't really moved anywhere as far as forward, backwards, kind of just been sticking around. So he is definitely a driver to watch. You also got to watch the one just behind him, and Brandon Bikey, as he has had a fast ride. He had a fast ride last week when we were here, and he has a fast ride now. So we'll see if he's going to capitalize on that after coming down pit lane and getting some damage repaired here. But Hunter Carmichael with the button. Pace car is in, and we are getting ready to roll. Carmichael wastes little time, and he is out in front. Bender stays with him, and Coffee back in 3rd.
Inside line got a very nice restart there. But look at this. The 2 inside drivers are now going to be clear of both lines here, but you don't want to get out too far here, Mike, because if so, they're gonna have a huge run coming on you.
Yeah, you don't want to be just a pair out there riding, but they have hooked up with the rest of that inside line and stacked them up a little bit as they work their way around the track with 5 laps to go here in duel number 1. Carmichael, Binder, and LeVron. They're 3 wide back behind him. Looks like Alex Coffey was in the middle, trying to get the 4 of Jordan Schmitz to come with him. The 69 of Jared Clark stuck out high, and now the 18 of Blaine Wilson is also 3 wide in the middle. 71 off the wall, bounces off the 12. They are still 3 wide, 3 rows, 3 wide. Mikey is trying to get out of there. He doesn't want to be 3 wide at all.
A lot of movement going on back there. We're gonna have to keep a close eye. But look at the, oh, there goes the 71. He got tagged and he gets turned, and they're gonna come back up into the traffic, but they stay green. Yeah, we're staying green, it looks like.
That's still green flag racing as these guys are bouncing off the wall, down off the apron. 3 wide still back here. Got the 43, the 5, the 10, all vying for some positions. We'll go back up towards the front. We got Hunter Carmichael on the low side with Bender behind him. You have the 11 of Gallimore on the high side getting pushed by Coffey. And the outside lane is starting to prevail here.
Outside line getting that nice run. They have at least 3 car lengths in front of the inside line. Just not enough help there on the inside unless cars come down. There they go. They start moving down. That is the 15 and 17 once again hooked up back in positions 1 and 2. And somebody's gonna have to block that 3 car.
Yeah, the 17's pushing that 15 for all he can. Christensen and Coffey down on the inside. Hunter Carmichael and John Bender side by side they go. 2 to go here in duel number 1. Binder down to the inside, going to try and take the lead, and he will do that as the 28 slides up behind him. Kendall LeBron is trying to give him a push. Then you got Nick King in the 24 ride also there, but that outside line has got a little more speed as they are starting to handle the track. Last lap here. Let's see what's going to happen if the 15 is going to pull out and try and pass Carmichael here. Alex Coffey right behind him.
Who's gonna know? There it is, like you mentioned, Mike. There they go. Wow, look at the 11 there. They all went to the inside. They're wrecking behind. But do we stay green or does the caution come out? That is the question.
Racing back to checkers on the final lap. Alex Coffey, Nigel Christensen, Paul Gallimore, Hunter Carmichael. 28 of Kendall LeBron is just pushing the 11 for all he can. Carmichael comes down to block Mettler beside him. Inside, outside, 3 wide. And that is going to be the end of duel number 1. Alex Coffey takes the victory. Let's go back and take a look here at what happened. 28 giving a push to the 33 there. 11 comes down. Oh, the 1 gives a shot there to the 4. And that is what brings that out here. So with that, we're going to jump over to the next duel here.
That was pretty fast racing, Mike, and exciting racing too. Now we just get ready for the second duel and see how this outside line's going to qualify.
Let's see if we can get this up here. Be able to. There we go. We got row 1, Randy Mullins and Jeff Taylor, Kenny Coppola, and Chris Davis. Chris Davis did win the Clash last week. Shane Davis, Jeff Carson. And we've got Kyle Holden and Paul Whitley. Barry Sanders, Justin Bellamonte, Derek Jacobs, Terry Atwood, Tim Wortman Jr. and Darren Mullins. Jamison Middlemiss, Chad Sullivan, Ed Boyles, and Nicholas Atwood make up row 9. Row 10 is Ryan Huff and Chris Spear. Dean Motley makes up the 21st position, so that is where they start. We will see where they finish as they get ready to roll off here on the formation lap. Let's see. They're going to get rolling here with the excitement we saw in dual race number 1. It's going to be a whole different ball game here in dual race number 2. We've got multiple series champion in here. We've got one of the owners in here as well. We've got, well, actually several of them in here, it looks like. We got the winner of the Clash last week in Chris Davis. So definitely going to be a full field of interesting drivers when we get this heat race done and they have that outside row set for the Daytona 300. If I'm not mistaken, we are... Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, we are off next week. I thought we were. Pace car is in. Randy Mullins, Jeff Taylor lead him to green. Mullins is starting to pull away down there, has Coppola all over his rear bumper as they push their way towards the front. Got the 23 in the outside row with the 29 of Chris Davis. You know those drivers can push their way towards the front. We'll see what happens, if they can get that Martin Sports 29 back into the lead, back into the winner circle here.
Great start for duel number 2 as you see these drivers making their way up to speed heading into turn number 3. We have a 54 and 23 side by side going through the turns right now, but the edge is going to go to the 54 as they come off of turn number 4.
That inside line is working pretty good here as they're headed towards the start finish line. See him bounce around. 54 Chevy of Randy Mullins still getting pushed to the front. We know that 77 Toyota is fast. He was the pole setter at last year's Daytona 300. He's, like I said, multiple time champion here. He also qualifies on the pole quite a bit as well, looking back through the race results from last season. Kyle Holden in that 59 working pretty good as well. As you see, was that the 79 of Shane Davis with a massive move to that high side. Jumps up in front of the 23 of Jeff Taylor and is going to try and get pushed himself to the lead.
Getting a little squirrely up there on that top line right now, but everything's looking so far so good. No cautions here in the second duel, but I do expect this. I do expect the second duel to ramp up just a little bit compared to duel number 1.
Yeah, you got Mullins, Coppola, Holden, and Sanders down on that low line, and they are starting to pull away. They are hooked up pretty well. You don't see a lot of that snaking motion that you're seeing in that outside lane. That outside lane doesn't seem to be quite as on the same part of the track as they're going through the corners. Sometimes that's a good thing because you need to get a little air to the radiator there, but it does slow you down quite a little bit, especially down the straightaways. Randy Mullins is keeping that car right on that yellow line. Fastest way, shortest way, and away they go. Starting to kind of spread out a little bit as far as the inside-outside row. At 79, as Shane Davis is now back into 7th. And the 16 of Jamison Middle Miss is even with him on that bottom row. They got quite a few cars that are able to slowly pull away on that inside lane. We'll see if they're going to get single file at any point during this race. Didn't see too much of it in the first duel. I don't know that we're going to see too much of it in duel number 2 here. I know Randy Mullins is carrying one of the series sponsors here, Ram Welding and Fabrication, so definitely glad to have them on board here as well. These guys are definitely working through. Looks like even they're back now to the 93 of Ryan Huff. So yeah. First 8 spots are in the bottom row. And it looks like that bottom line is just slowly starting to pull away even more here.
Well, when you're looking at this, you see everybody's using that snake line formation here on the inside. If you're on the outside, you're just stuck right now. You can't go anywhere because all the momentum is on that inside right now. So if it was me on the outside, I would try to slip back,
and there goes the first one.
22 in the same spot as we saw in duel number 1 there, Mike. Wrong place, wrong time.
Let's see what happened there to Dean Motley. So he is the 22 machine. Roll through just a little bit. He gets a massive run. Taps the 93 in the wrong place, gets squirrely, slides up in front of the 38, and that is going to bring out the caution. Looks like the 29 got involved as well. But that tends to be what happens here at these super speedways. You get a little out of shape, and then all of a sudden, a car has a run, gets a bad bump, what have you, and you're under caution pretty quickly here. With
First
that,
caution of the night here in duel number 2. Been an eventful night here tonight, Mike. But is that what we expected here from Daytona?
I think that's probably the way it's gonna go here as we are working through just now. Lap 7. We'll probably see if they get stacked up this time, or we'll have a couple more laps. Looks like lights are still going to be on the pace car, so we'll have another little bit here. We got Mullins, Coppola, Holden, Sanders, Jacobs, Wortman, Middlemiss, Davis, Taylor, and Atwood. All those drivers were on that inside lane, and they were trying to drive away from the field. But so this is going to stack them up. Everybody's going to be inside, outside. Not exactly sure who they're going to get stuck with as a dancing partner. I would imagine that Mullins and Coppola are pretty happy working together here out front, so we'll see if Mullins is going to be able to get in front of Coppola, if he's going to let him slide up in front of him, or if maybe Kenny's going to decide that 77 Toyota needs to go out there and lead some of these laps here. Getting closer to taking the green flag one more time. Let's see about talking to Alex there, but it looks like can't move him at the moment. So if you're towards the back, you're going to want to probably try and just hang out, avoid any calamity here. Try and improve your position as you work through the field and through these last 25 laps here. If you're out front, you might as well race for the win. But we saw what happened in the first duel. We'll see what happens in duel number 2. Lights are out on the pace car. They are stacked back up. You have the 54 and 77 going to lead them to green, with the 59 of Kyle Holden and the 88 of Barry Sanders just behind them.
Getting ready for this restart here from Daytona, and I'm really pumped up. I don't know about you, Mike, but I think we're going to see some great action going on in this restart. We're going to see drivers go where they feel most comfortable, but you see a driver back there lagging a little bit on pace right now. Don't know why.
Yeah, it looks like Chad Sullivan is a little slow there on the pace. We'll see what happens here with this restart. See if they're able to get single filed out. Pace car is in. Mullins with the button. Restart zone, and he is down and away. That inside lane got quite the jump. Looks like Coppola is going to fade back probably to third. Maybe he'll hang out on that high lane. But he's right now even with Kyle Holden. And it's just those two down on the inside of Mullins and Holden here. Got Coppola and Sanders up on the high line with Davis coming in. Looked like a big move there from Terry Atwood. Going from the bottom to the top pretty quickly. Shane Davis trying to work his way past the 59 and 54 there as well.
Look at that run on the inside line. Once again, we're going to be dead even going into turn number 1. And you can tell these pushes are getting a little bit more pushier, as I should say, because you know these laps are going to start winding down, and they're going to start winding down very, very quick. But it looks like nobody can get past this 54, even when they're trying to make the run.
Yeah, the 54 Chevy of Randy Mullins just seems to have a lot of speed built in already. As Kyle Holden jumped out to the high side, and now Coppola is going to push that 59 machine. Maybe that's the ticket tonight. Maybe getting in front of that 77 is going to take you to the win here. As it looks like the 83 was a little out of shape there when he tried to give a push there to Randy Mullins, so that's going to stack him up a little bit on that inside row. Kyle Holden, though, still leading. Barry Sanders third in the outside row. And the 19 of Nicholas Atwood trying to stay up there as well, as looks like the 54 moves to the high side.
Oh, look at the sparks on the ground. That's what's so great about night racing here. You get to see them sparks and wonderful paint schemes also on those wonderful next-gen cars. See, right now, it looks like the run's just on the outside line, but that 54 has dropped back tremendously. Was leading literally a lap ago, and now look at him. He's in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, the 54 was down on the bottom side, didn't like where that was going, faded back to get up into that high line, and now he is currently sitting P9 right now as everybody's battling around him. Got the 23 with the 83, Jeff Taylor and Tim Wortman Jr. working their way around the track here. But they're still not really going anywhere as far as that outside line goes. That outside line is just this seems to be dominant, and I think it all has to do with that 77 machine, because he was able to push that 54 out to quite a lead, and everybody behind him kind of stayed with him.
You're right about that, and you see, oh, look at that wiggle out of the leader there. And the 88 machine, I believe. No, my bad. It's not the 88 machine. That's the 59 machine. Getting pushed by the 77.
Yeah, and that wiggle out of the 59 machine just cost that outside lane quite a bit of time there, as the 23 of Jeff Taylor is now working his way up to be about even with third place with Barry Sanders there on that outside lane. The 83 keeps getting a little out of shape there when they're trying to get hooked up in the corner. So one little bad move and the bad bump happens, and that 23 is going to get shot up the track. We'll see if they can straighten that out as they come through the corner. If they can hold it together, they were doing pretty well as far as catching the leaders here. Kyle Holden still leading that outside lane. Kenny Coppola, Barry Sanders, Shane Davis, and Nicholas Atwood all in the outside lane. Randy Mullins also up there. He led most of the race, was started on the pole of duel number 2, moves down to the inside, jumps in front of Jeff Taylor, And he's going to see if that 23 machine can give him a push and get him back up towards the front.
Gonna keep a close eye on this action all throughout the track there. Is to see, let's look all the way in the back of this pack right now. You see one car hanging around. Looks like he's losing the draft at this point if he keeps going the way he's going. Right there, the 9 machine definitely losing the draft. Not what you want here at Daytona. And the top 10 right now that finish in the top 10, they can make it into the Daytona 300.
Ooh, a little dicey there for the 59. That's a 77. Starts to give him a push, and he just gets a little out of shape. Same with the 23 there. Got a run on the 54 of Randy Mullins. Had to pull out of line. Slowed it down and got back in line. But now even back towards the back, we got Terry Atwood, Chris Spear trying to battle there. The 64, Darren Mullins, also trying to make a little ground. Let's just see what we can see here. Let's see how close they get with Kenny Coppola on board as he is trying to push that Bad Boy Racing number 59 Ford to the front. See him just start to slowly close in. Just kind of push that bubble and get that 59 ride out there. Looks like we had a little out of shape there in the middle of the field as that inside lane is starting to come back towards the front. Shane Davis is kind of bouncing around, not very happy with where he is in front of that 19 of Nicholas Atwood. 23 almost gave the 54 a bad push there as he was sliding up as the 23 was coming to give him a push there. And don't look now, but in front of the leaders is a lapped car. They're going to catch him pretty quickly. And that could force him 3 wide in a bad position here, but he pulls off the track, going to slow her down, let the race, the guys racing for the lead go by. So no harm, no foul here as Kyle Holden, Kenny Coppola, and Barry Sanders all lead that outside lane. Randy Mullins trying to get back towards the front. He was in front early and often, but worked his way towards the back of the field and now is on his way back to the front. And see how close these guys are getting to each other. Let's see if we can jump on with 23 here of Jeff Taylor. See how close he gets to the Cody Williams design 54 machine there of Randy Mullins coming out of the corner. It's right on his bumper. Almost gives him a bad bump there as they're not quite straight. That is one thing you want to be when you're given a little bump draft, is be as straight as possible. You hit him in the wrong spot in the corner and you're going to cause everybody to have a bad day behind you.
Yeah, it could lead to a very bad day. As you see right here, we're getting into the closing laps here. Oh, look at that move by the 54. Oh man, I thought he was going to get turned by the 23 right there on the back stretch.
Now the 54 and 23 went from the bottom to the top as quick as possible. Looked like Jeff Taylor was trying to make the move and Randy Mullins just barely noticed that his rearview mirror, followed him up and was able to stay right in front of him, so Jeff Taylor could not make that move and get to the front. That outside lane is now Randy Mullins, Jeff Taylor, Kyle Holden, and Here comes the inside lane with Tim Wortman Jr. Wortman Jr. going to try and go to the front.
I don't know if anybody's going to get this 54 out of the way, because he's been up here pretty much ever since the second duel has started. And man, is he really, really good at blocking these runs. As you see right there, they are still side by side going into the tri-oval, Mike.
Yeah, side by side, everybody trying to get a little ground here as everybody's, you can just see how much they're shifting positions just based on inside or outside lane. So you get past the car coming off of pit lane there. Randy Mullins is still leading, 13 to go. He's got the 23 of Jeff Taylor giving him a push. Kyle Holden back there as well. Kenny Coppola might be thinking about making a jump down to the inside lane, but just doesn't have enough room to get in front of Tim Wortman Jr. Wortman Jr. trying to pull it back and get even with these drivers in that outside row, but just not quite enough momentum is built up yet. You got Derek Jacobs in the 27, the 7 of Chris Spear. And it looks like Chris Davis has pretty much called it tonight. Ed Boyles Jr. still rolling, but not much there. As we are around here.
They're going to cause a caution. It looks like we're staying green.
Under caution.
Oh, we're under caution.
See what happens with this. Like, oh, just a little checkup there. Just a little checkup, and the 6 got into the back of the 7, bounced off, went up into the wall. 16 involved the 21. So Chad Sullivan, Justin Belmonte is the driver of the 6 machine. You got the 16 there as well with Jamison Middlemiss. So like I said, just a little bit of a bad bump, and you're going to find yourself having a really bad day.
We want to thank our viewers here on Sim Racing Media tuning in here. I'm reading some comments here, Mike, and a lot of people are cheering on the 54 right now.
Yep, you got the 54 out front, so if he's going to be able to bring home the victory here. Like I said, the first 10 positions are for points. This does set the outside row for the Daytona 300 when we come back here on the 21st. So it is for points. We'll see what we can, what we see when these guys get ready to come back to green. We're gonna have, I'm gonna say, 8 laps to go when we get to green flag. So another one of those short runs to the finish here. We got a couple drivers still on pit lane trying to get their cars fixed up. Jeff Carson, Justin Belmonte, and Jamison Middlemiss. Looks like Chad Sullivan's going to be last car on the lead lap here. unless Belmonte can get out. It looks like Belmonte is going to be able to get out, so we'll stack him up here once again. We'll have Randy Mullins down on the inside, Jeff Taylor on row 1, Kyle Holden, Kenny Coppola, Barry Sanders, and Tim Wortman Jr. round out the first 3 rows. Lights are still on the pace car, so we'll let them go through one more time here. Got a person in the chat cheering for the Atwood brothers. So Nicholas Atwood currently running P9. Harry Atwood P13. So not too far apart, are they?
Again, they get 1 overtime attempt here at Daytona. And we're going to be restarting with 8 laps to go here from Daytona International Speedway in the duels. Next week, we'll have an off week, and then we'll be back for the big race here in the Moonshiners Cup Series. And I think it's the race everybody's been waiting for here.
Well, I think they're going to be glad they're going to have next week off after racing a ton here at Daytona. So they'll get a week off, come back, and we will have the Daytona 300 here. So here we go, stacked up one more time. 54 of Randy Mullins has that Ram Welding and Fabrication on the lead. He will have control. He has the button, and he will decide when we get to go green here. Jump over to the view from the stands up high. Jeff Taylor on the outside. He's got the man that has been able to push almost everybody to the lead behind him as we are in the Geico restart zone, and down and away goes Randy Mullins. 23, a little late there. The 59 of Kyle Holden is going to be right with Mullins as they work their way to turn number 1 as Kyle Holden jumps up to the high line side by side with the 54. 54 waiting on Barry Sanders to close in here. If Barry's going to stay with him or if he's going to try and jump to the middle. Looks like he's going to stay with him. That is one thing. When you start to lose momentum, you never know where the drivers behind you are going to go. If they see you losing momentum, they could jump right to the middle and make you go clear to the back on that inside row. But Kyle Holden taking the lead and making it work right now. But the 54, Randy Mullins, is working hard as well down on the bottom side.
Outside line having that run, but the inside of the 54, here he comes in the closing laps here from Daytona. Anything could happen here. Can they get to the white flag? That is the question. Everybody's doing a fantastic job here tonight.
Yeah, inside, outside.
59.
Kyle Holden on the high side, Randy Mullins on the low side. Mullins has got Barry Sanders pushing him for all he's got. Shane Davis right behind him. And they are working pretty well together here. But I believe Randy Mullins is just pulled to the outside, and he does. He gets in front of Kyle Holden. So Barry Sanders is now going to lead that bottom side. Barry Sanders, Shane Davis on the bottom. Mullins and Holden on the high side, and then side by side they go for the lead.
This is the first time we have seen this 88 and 79 up here in the top spots, basically in the top spots here in this second heat. But man, that 59 on the outside just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. Look at him, he's like glued to the 54 bumper. It's like he's not giving up at all yet. And I think if this thing runs green, Mike, this might be a drag race to start finish line, to be honest with you, if this is how they're gonna keep pushing.
Yeah, these guys are pushing for everything they can. The driver, I'm kind of interested to see if that 23 tries to push it 3 wide in the middle, coming towards, you know, a couple to go here. He has the 77 behind him of Kenny Coppola. Coppola has been pushing almost everybody to the lead, but now he is mired back in 4th on that outside row. So we'll see if he is able to do anything with it. The 54 of Randy Mullins has got Kyle Holden just glued to his bumper. Barry Sanders and Shane Davis are not hooked up very well, as Shane Davis keeps bouncing from the bottom to the top side of that bumper. And if he gets a little bit of a run, that could be a disastrous day there for Barry Sanders.
Inside line, falling back just a little bit. Gonna have to regroup, get that pushing to start going here to catch up to the leader here in the 54. And so like this 54, I mean, you think we're gonna create a third line here possibly, Mike, to see if we can get around?
59 pulls down to the inside, gets in front of Barry Sanders, leaves the 54 almost out to dry, as the 23 was trying to make it 3 wide and send that 54 to the wall. But Randy Mullins battling back on the high side. Kyle Holton down low has Barry Sanders behind him. Inside, outside, where do you want to be at?
Well, if it was me, I would want to be on the inside, just because when you're coming in and travel, you can side draft very easily, compared to the outside, where you've seen a lot of people not have such good luck. Man, I don't know what happened to the inside line, but man, did they fall back a lot. And the 64 makes contact, and there it is.
There's the big one with 3 to go. We'll be under a green-white checker. They get 1 attempt at that, as we were watching it all unfold in front of us. You can see them start to have that, I'll call it the danger diamond pattern here, as you have the 59 of Kyle Holden kind of in the middle, slides down in front of Barry Sanders, which is okay. You have Darren Mullins in the middle trying to stay out of the way, as the 6 goes to the high side, and all of a sudden you're going to see the 64 start getting sucked up the racetrack, and he sees it coming, so he starts to turn down, but oh, that looks like a little bit of net code as the 6 hits the wall a little bit. 64 comes down the track, sends Barry Sanders 59 of Kyle Holden around the 38 there as well. Shane Davis, and they are stacked up there. So that definitely changes the strategy here as they get ready to go. So we'll get set for this green-white checker. So there's 3 laps to go. When they come to the start-finish line, they will take the green flag. They will race around. And in this case, since it's the last green-white checker, they'll either take the white flag and race back to checkers, or if a caution flag flies, that is the end of the race, and they will freeze the field, and that is it.
Who knows what this could turn out to? We didn't have a green-white checker in the first duel, but now that we have a green-white checker here, is the game plan like we get to the white flag and we're good? Or, I mean, what are these drivers thinking right now? Do they want to be leading before the white flag, leading after the white flag, or just leading in general?
I don't think I want to be leading. I think I want to be
Second or third?
Sitting second or third. So we'll see what happens when they get set here. Like I said, I thought I'd want to be, around that 77 machine, try and have it push me to the front, but now we're back to the same front row we started the race with, Randy Mullins and Kenny Coppola. So it's all going to depend on how good of a jump Mullins gets, and if he can slide up in front of the 77 machine. If he does that, the race is pretty much going to be over, I'd imagine, because that 54 Chevy just has something that we haven't seen a lot of other drivers have. So we'll see how that works out here.
It's like when the 54 gets up to speed and he gets control of the field. He's very good at blocking the runs, and somehow, I mean, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, I think he's gonna get put back in the second or third, because I think these drivers have a plan to get around him. I really do. I think they're gonna try to side draft him as much as possible. Probably not go in the same lane as him, or the bad cases he gets turned. But I mean, if I was a 54, I would go to that high line, because I know the 77 is a really good pusher.
So they are stacked back up for what will be the final green flag of the night. Randy Mullins, Kenny Coppola will lead them to the green flag. Down the backstretch they go. We'll see if something strange happens here. Maybe last year's winner of the Daytona 300 is going to find his way through the field. They'll have to make up 10 spots before the checkered flag falls here, and that is Chad Sullivan.
I expect to see drivers literally make moves that I haven't seen before, because this is a make it or break it to get a good spot in the Daytona 300 the following week.
Pace car is in. Randy Mullins gets a huge jump. We'll see if he's going to be able to slide up in front of that 77 machine, and he will do just that as they head off into turn number 1. They are almost 3 wide back behind them as the 14 and 93 are trying to bounce around there, and they are around, and caution is out, and that is going to do it here for duel number 2. But probably not the way he wanted to win the race, but it's the way he's going to do it anyway. Randy Mullins, dominant car all night, is going to bring home the victory here.
Great job by the 54. I mean, he's going to be a legitimate threat going into this big race coming up. I wouldn't be expected. I would expect him to be up in the front probably.
Let's see what happened here to bring out that last caution. So we got the 93 kind of bouncing around. He's able to save it there. 64 there. Then you can see him kind of check up a little bit. 21 looks pretty good there. That seems like quite a little bit of code there. I mean, probably would have bumped, but I don't think it would have turned in. They probably would have just bounced off each other, bounced off the wall, and they would have stayed green. But nonetheless, that's gonna give the victory here to Randy Mullins.
Hey, should we bring in our duel winner?
Let's see what we got here. I don't see Randy in here anywhere. And it looks like Alex is streaming. So while they do this, let's see if we can. Oh, that ain't what I want. Work. So the heat race number 1 and the inside row is going to be Alex Coffey, Nigel Christensen, Paul Gallimore, Hunter Carmichael, Kendall LeVron, Steven Gibson, Aaron Matthews, Matt Metler, Chris James, Jared Clark, Nick King, Jeff Chandler, Warren Young, John Binder, Jordan Schmeetz, Brandon Bikey, Blaine Wilson, Darren Mills, Derek Pemberton, Blaine Woodruff, Matt Mackin, and Caden Nofree. And we'll switch on over to duel number 2. So we've got Randy Mullins, Kenny Coppola, Tim Wortman, Derek Jacobs, Jeff Taylor, Jeff Carson, Chris Spear, Ryan Huff, Shane Davis, Darren Mullins, Terry Atwood, Kyle Holden, Barry Sanders, Jamison Middlemiss, Chad Sullivan, Dean Motley, Justin Bellamonte, Nicholas Atwood, Chris Davis, Ed Boyles Jr., and Paul Whitley here. And it looks like, Daniel, you've got Randy Mullins in the booth here.
Hey, Randy, it's Mike and Daniel in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. You got me?
Oh, we got you. What an excellent performance you're putting on here in duel number 2. Tell us, how was the draft? How was the pushing going on? And how was your car handling?
Car handled real good. The draft's very important, but you also have to watch the mirror and make sure you monitor the runs and stuff. I didn't mean to leave Jeffrey. I think it was 8 to go, 5 to go. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't mean to leave him, but it was us 2, and I seen 4 at the bottom. So obviously 4 is faster than 2, so I kind of left him out a little bit. My apologies there, but I just needed to keep the track position.
Well, now that we have an off week next week, then the following week we have the big race, the Daytona 300. We're going to be racing once again here at Daytona. What are your expectations knowing that that field's going to be a lot larger than we had in the Clash and in the duels tonight?
I imagine the front half of the race is going to be it's either going to go 2 ways. It's either going to be caution field or we're going to be riding. But my goal is to stay inside the top 8. Do not fall back. Do not get caught in the big one. Maintain the track position. Probably ride the bottom the first half of the race, just because that gives you an outlet in case something happens up top. And then take the gloves off and go for it at the end. But I'm going to throw this car on jack stands and not do nothing to it.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on you in that race because you've had a strong performance here tonight. Do you have anybody you would like to thank here tonight?
Yes, sir. I need to thank my sponsors, OB Builders, Ram Welding and Fabrication, Finish Line Interiors. Thank all my teammates in both leagues that I run. So definitely need to thank those guys for sure.
Well, congratulations on winning duel number 2. And we'll see you again here in Daytona in 2 weeks for the Daytona 300.
All right, buddy. Looking forward to it. See you then.
Let's see if we can. Looks like he's streaming, so we can't. So, I won't be able to talk to Alex as he's streaming something on Discord here, but congrats to all the heat winners. Everybody's gonna have a nice little off week, get back to beating and banging, and we'll be here for the Daytona 300 on the 21st. So from all the drivers of the Moonshiners Racing League and all of us here at Sim Racing Media, I want to wish you guys good night, and we will see you next week. Night, everybody.